Imagine a philosophical framework that functions by systematically proving its own foundational concepts are empty. It defines reality through the lens of a distortion in space, rather than the presence of an object. This is the technical version of the Diamond Sutra. This specific translation bypasses centuries of flowery religious language to expose the underlying cognitive mechanics. Viewed through this technical lens, the text operates as a rigorous treatise on epistemology. It investigates how we construct what we think we know, and why those constructions are structurally flawed. The text frames Prajnaparamita, or the perfection of wisdom, as an algorithmic approach to isolating and dismantling human cognitive bias. The Diamond Sutra acts as a logical instrument. Its goal is to break down the specific categories of the self, the universe, and truth, until no conceptual variables remain. The entire text operates on a singular, recurring paradoxical formula regarding the teachings of the Tathagata, or the Buddha. The formula follows a precise sequence. A is not A, therefore it is called A. If defining attributes are non-attributes, the thing possesses no fixed identity. These conceptual categories are just functional labels for empty variables. Words are identified here as functional tools. They allow for communication and navigation, but they do not map to an ultimate, independent truth. The text defines no delusion as the specific ability to distinguish between these linguistic tools and the actual nature of reality. To name an object is to artificially isolate it from a continuous field. True perception requires seeing that all phenomenal attributes are essentially empty of fixed content. This schematic blueprint allows us to apply the logic formula to the bedrock of human experience, the perception of an independent being. The sutra asserts that if a mind maintains a conception of an egotistic entity or separate existence, the logic of wisdom is compromised. When we pass the concept of a personality through the logic filter, it dissolves into transient sensations. The solid core vanishes, leaving only a boundary. This remaining outline is a language convention, an empty set lacking a permanent center. Grasping at this empty set as if it were a physical reality creates a sense of personal existence that is neither a true existence nor a total non-existence. The fundamental self functions as a cognitive overlay that must be deleted to perceive truth clearly. This deletion of the self introduces the Bodhisattva, an archetype defined by the goal of guiding all creatures to absolute nirvana. This vow includes every mode of existence, those born from eggs, from the womb, from moisture, or through metamorphosis, whether they have form or are formless. The flowchart contains a paradox. The Bodhisattva must rescue infinite beings while understanding zero beings actually exist. Perceiving themselves as a savior reestablishes the delusion of separate entities. Compassion must remain active, untethered from actor and subject. This is what it means to practice virtue without regard to appearances. It is a purposeful force requiring no external conditions or attachments to function. The text compares an attached person to someone groping in the dark, unable to see the actual mechanics of the environment. The highest form of ethical action requires the deletion of both the actor and the subject from the equation. The sutra expands this proof from psychology to the physical universe. It uses extreme scale to show physical size has no bearing on objective reality. Consider taking every galaxy in the universe and grinding them down until they are reduced to a single heap of atoms. The resulting heap would be, by any human measurement, immense. However, the recurring formula applies. This immense heap is not in truth a heap, but is only called a heap. The text argues that if a galaxy truly existed as a permanent entity, it would be a material object that could be seized, but there is no seizing of reality. Terms like heap or galaxy are linguistic conventions used to label temporary clusters of particles. They are expressions devoid of real, independent content. Emptiness is universal. Multiplying an empty concept by 1 billion does not grant it objective reality. This leads to a final recursive trap. If beings in galaxies are empty, what about the Diamond Sutra itself? What about the teaching? The Buddha's response is that the ultimate enlightenment has no specific dharma or teaching associated with it. These concepts cannot be formulated in words. They are neither dharma nor adharma. The text compares its framework to a raft crossing a stream. Once across, carrying the raft becomes a new burden, a new delusion. You must renounce the teachings once their purpose is fulfilled. Use the tool, then leave it behind. Philosophical frameworks are vehicles to cross over delusion. Treating the tool as an ultimate truth is the final, most subtle trap the mind can set. The text uses a hyperbolic comparison to define merit. It asks us to visualize filling 1,000 million worlds with shimmering treasures and offering them all as a gift. In the sutra's logic, this infinite physical wealth results in non-merit. Physical charity is contrasted with the act of internalizing. Just one stanza of this teaching and illuminating it for others. The text claims this understanding generates incalculable merit. It suggests the sheer scale of this cognitive shift is enough to drive an ordinary mind into a state of confusion or even frenzy. Physical charity requires a conceptual giver and receiver to function. By dismantling these entities using the logic of emptiness, the text removes the transactional limit of the act, leading to the claim of incalculable merit. Supreme merit exists as the liberation from the boundaries of conceptual thought. The text's ultimate target, Buddha nature, is defined strictly as a state of attributelessness. This final stanza serves as a concluding mathematical proof of conditioned existence. Consider a meteor, a fragile bubble, or a flash of lightning. These analogies perfectly fit the A equals not A algorithm. They are phenomena that exist functionally for a moment, yet lack any permanent, independent reality. This formula collapses all human experience into a single, undifferentiated plane, where no fixed entities remain. The text leaves us with a dual mandate: operate functionally in the world, rescuing beings and practicing virtue, while simultaneously processing the knowledge that none of it exists. The perfection of wisdom involves relentless, compassionate action driven by a mind that has systematically mapped its own non-existence.